I hope everyone is safe and well this Memorial Day weekend. I know we all get caught up in the barbecues and the day off and the celebrating because it is the unofficial kickoff to summer. But today really is the day to pay tribute to those who have given their lives to something much bigger than you or me or even themselves. It's to all of our lives and our freedom. So it's with great gratitude I come to you today on this Memorial Day weekend to thank the men, the women, and many a canine who have allowed us to live the lives we're currently living. So keep them in our thoughts and prayers today and in our memories. We're gonna talk about summer today, but I just want to keep that in perspective as well. Memorial Day weekend is often considered the official kickoff to summer, even though summer is still another month away. And depending on where you live, you may be doing some of those celebration things I was talking about earlier. However, if you're paying attention to the news, Hurricane Alberto is on the way through the southeast, so some of you may not be having those outdoor activities. With that said, let me just put in that quick commercial that there are a few more days left for the half price rate on my pet disaster preparedness course. I've actually heard back from quite a few people who have already taken it and completed it and have worked on their written emergency plan and are getting their supplies in place. So it really does my heart good to know that, you know, all of my work and research and writing and doing the class along with my great friends at Pet Sitters International is starting to pay off. So, you know, go to my website or go to petsit.com/disaster to sign up. You have until May 31st to get it at half price, but then it'll be available to keep you going and if you're not ready right now. So talking about some of the things that may be going on today or this weekend or now, you know, throughout the summer months, people are going to want to cook food outside. And, you know, nothing tastes as good as food cooked on the grill. But remember, that's not just our opinion. That is also the opinion of our canine best bud. So my best advice actually for everything I'm going to talk about summer is supervise, supervise, supervise. You don't want burnt snouts or lips or paws because you turned your back and the dog, you know, snatched something off the grill. Second-degree burns are extremely painful. And third-degree burns, although maybe not as painful initially, take a long time to heal. Both of them are very susceptible to infection. So supervise and prevent your best buddy from, you know, snatching something off the grill. Also be so careful that they don't get the charcoal briquettes. If they're already hot, we can imagine what a big deal that is. But even cool, if they don't chew them up, looks like we had a little difficulty here. I'm just trying to make sure we still have connectivity. There we go. Even if they swallow the briquette whole, they don't chew it up and it hasn't been lit, it's not hot yet, it can be a choking obstruction. But a lot of the briquettes these days are already infused with lighter fluid, or, you know, obviously they could be hot because they've already been ignited or they're still cooling. And, you know, some of them may be inviting to our pets because if they've already been used, they're going to have the juices of the drip meats or whatever was cooked on the grill. So again, supervise and keep paws off. Thank you guys all for joining in today on your day off from work. As far as the picnic itself goes, keep paws and claws, kitties as well, away from the salty foods, the potato chips, the fried chicken, even the hot dogs. I mean, I know we're always inclined to give a little bite, but a little bit goes a long way with our best buds. If you give too many salty or greasy things, they can actually end up with an inflamed pancreas. And obviously that's a medical emergency. The pancreas is involved in somewhat in digestion, but in putting insulin into the body. But without even going into those details, it's a major organ. And if it's inflamed, our pet's in great distress. If you're cooking ribs or anything, again, fried chicken with bones, do not let your dogs get cooked bones. They splinter, they can pierce on the way down, they can cause constipation or intestinal, I was trying to put two words together, intestinal blockages. So just, you know, pay good attention to that as well. Give them, you know, some apples, some pieces of watermelon, some carrots, The raw flesh of peaches. The only problem with the fruits is the pits and the seeds. So keep those away. Depending on the fruit, those hard pits like in a peach or a plum, or the seeds like in watermelons or apples or cherries, can actually contain cyanide or arsenic. So you certainly don't want your pets getting into those. A peach pit swallowed whole, if it gets all the way through and isn't a choking or a intestinal obstruction, is okay, but we don't really advise that. But the minute your pet crunches down on it and breaks into the center of the pit or the seed, that's when the poisoning can take place. Another thing I want to urge you with cookouts are corn cobs. Boy, my little buddy Haiku can be a corn cob thief. We really have to keep an eye on him. Those can cause great distress. So, just really have covered garbage cans and get the food away right away. The food being out for picnics or grills too can invite, insects as well. So make sure you have preventive. We've talked about this before, but, keep the fleas and ticks at bay. Really the mosquitoes, because although a lot of you think heartworm is just in the southeast, it has traveled all the way to the west coast now. So talk with your veterinarian and be prepared this summer. Read directions, use only the medication for your particular species and for your particular species body weight. Don't put, dog flea preventive on cats or vice versa. Make sure you're not putting the 50 to 100 pound preventive on a Chihuahua. Really pay attention. Very often when problems happen, it's human error. So we really, really, really need to tune in. Something I'd like to just mention to you is BuzzGuard by Earthheart. I really like that a lot. I mean, I know a lot of us sometimes, with heartworms and fleas and ticks, depending on where you are, you might really need the harder core medications. But this is great for providing comfort, even for you while you're outdoors. It's aromatherapy for dogs, made by Earthheart. And if you go to the Products We Love page on my website under the shopping cart, you'll see that these wonderful humans are actually offering you a discount. So don't miss out on that. Water safety. Again, just like I said, supervise, supervise, supervise. When we have a dog or a cat, we basically have a furry toddler for life. They're not going to grow up and, take on a job of responsibility and care for others. We're going to care for them for our lifetime. It's our privilege and it's truly our pleasure. But we need to keep a watch out. Just because they're an animal, even if it's a dog with the middle name of Retriever, it doesn't mean he knows how to swim. Dogs with shorter necks, bulldogs, Boston Terriers, pugs really have difficulty keeping their head above water. So if you have a swimming pool or your pet has access to any body of water, there are certainly pool alarms and things along those lines you can check into, and a doggy life vest can be very helpful. But something I really like is called the Heads Up Water Collar, HEDZ. Again, this is another one of those products on the Products We Love page of my website where you can get an awesome discount from these peeps. But what I like about it is you get it according to the size of your pet, and the collar, your pet's collar, actually strings through here, and then you see it goes around the neck. And what's great about it is even if the dog fatigues, it keeps his head out of the water. If you have a life vest and the dog gets tired, he stays afloat, but his snout and face can be in the water and he can, drown. This will keep his head up if he has a short, neck, if he's getting tired. So it's a wonderful safety device. I really urge you to check into it. It's the Heads Up, HEDZ up. But again, just go to my PetSafetyCrusader.com website, go under Shop, Products We Love, and you'll see it there with an awesome discount. What else would I like to talk? Well, let's stick in with the water for a little bit. Make sure your pets are up to date on vaccines. And I, as well as many of you, do not want to over-vaccinate our pets. But it's important that we are sure they have the antibodies. So get a titer test, which is a simple blood draw done if you don't want to go to the vaccinations right away, and see if your pet already has the immunities and will not contract certain diseases. As we're into spring and the wet weather now, parvovirus is emerging, as is leptospirosis in the wetter areas, giardia, Giardia, you don't need a vaccine for. Just practice good habits. Make sure you only let your pets drink out of a clean water bowl, a clean water supply. Do your best to prevent them to not drink from lakes and streams, or they will end up with massive quantities of vomiting and diarrhea that they can share with you. Through antibiotics, you and the pets can be okay, but just, try to prevent that from happening. And should your dog or cat have vomiting or diarrhea at any time, I know we don't always take the time to do this, but it's just really a good idea to slip on rubber gloves. Simply because we often have, paper cuts or little pin pricks or, insect bites or something ourselves on our hands. And when we're cleaning up the vomit or the diarrhea, it's likely we can get that into a cut. Even if we wash diligently afterwards, it may already get in systemically. So it's important that we, cover up so that we don't contract these diseases as well. But be in the know about what's, going on in your area, what diseases are out and about. Parvo is just such a terrible thing, and it can actually live in the ground for several years. A lot of shelters, that's why they end up with concrete type floors, because they can bleach them or parvicide them and kill the disease. But if a dog, urinates or defecates in the ground, it's there for years. And that's why, we were always told with our puppies to carry them everywhere and not put them down on the ground, because, a dog could have even walked through your front yard and your puppy could contract parvo if he doesn't already have the immunities to it. So however you're doing it, when puppies are weaned, they've been given the colostrum by their mom, and they do have some natural immunities, but once they've been weaned, those start to fade, and we need to, start on our vaccinations or do our titer testing just to make sure our pets are safe. Besides the diseases I already mentioned, algae poisoning is actually a big thing in many parts of the country. So again, just be careful if you have a dog that loves to swim, that you're careful of those types of things as well. And if you head over to the beach, I repeat, do not let your pets drink salt water. Bring along plenty of fresh water for them, as well as for yourself, as well as shade for them to retreat to. But salt water can be very dehydrating, upsetting to the stomach. And, there's a whole plethora of problems. Maybe we'll do a Facebook Live video on that at one point in particular, but just really supervise around those cookouts and around water. I mentioned bugs briefly, so that's an important thing. I know one other thing I wanted to say about water is if your pets do go in water, whether it's chlorinated or it's the ocean or it's a lake or stream, wash them off afterwards. Get out that doggy shampoo and, really clean them well. Products I've really found recently I like, and again, these are ones that you can get a great discount on my website, are by Parfume. And I love the gentle ear cleaner to clean out the ears. We talked about that in a video just a few days ago. But they also have a line of shampoos. But whatever you use, just make sure you get that debris off of your pet, because once he starts to lick and groom himself, he's going to ingest that algae or that chlorine or that salt water or whatever kind of bacteria it happened to be. For whatever, comes your way, just make sure you have your first aid kit ready to treat that upset tummy or that bee sting or that cut paw, and, bone up on those skills. I'll have a class coming up, another live teleconference on June 24th. So, join in the fun. Traveling. Our pets do hopefully get to go a lot of places with us, whether it's around the block to the dog park, through the drive-through to get a cup of whipped cream, or actually on a road trip. There's so much to talk about in this arena, but again, I just want to give you a few summer safety tips with that, is to please make sure any carrier is strapped to the seat as well, because a kitty in a carrier just slamming on the brakes is going to keep on going. The car that's going 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 miles an hour will stop slowly when the brakes are applied, but the animal in the car will keep going until something stops it, which is generally the back of a seat or a windshield. And hopefully I don't have to draw you a picture to know that that's not going to be a good thing. Doggies should be in seat belts, a harness, never attached to a neck collar, but to a harness, and make sure it's properly fitting. These are going to be training things you have to do to make sure the pet gets accustomed to these things ahead of time, but keep them safe in the car. Earthheart, who I mentioned, the BuzzGuard, also has a great aromatherapy called Canine Calm and Travel Calm, which may help with, easing the anxiety of being on the road. For cats, I often recommend Rescue Remedy to just kind of chill them off. But, some chamomile tea, some lavender sprayed in the car, a lot of those things can work very well too. A few other things about the car is, or traveling in general, is plan ahead. Know where there are animal emergency centers on the way to wherever it is you're going. You don't want to be caught by surprise. Also check into hotels, lodging, restaurants. We're always looking for pet-friendly places today, and there are a lot of them. But just do know, and this was something we really experienced driving cross-country last year, pet-friendly doesn't mean the same thing to every place. Pet-friendly may mean only a dog under 20 pounds, may mean one only under 50 pounds. If you have an 80 or 100-pound dog, it gets a lot more tricky. Some places, I'm afraid, do ban and restrict by breeds. Some say they're pet-friendly, but there's absolutely no grassy area for your dog to answer nature's call. So, again, do your research for the sake of your furry best friend. Also, make sure you have a good collar and leash and your ID tags and microchips are up to date. I positively love these collars and leashes by Digit. Not only do they have reflection on many of them, but they're made of biothane, which doesn't absorb the water if the dog goes in the lake, so it doesn't ever get stinky. And it also has this really cool patented buckle and little hook on here. And you see there's a separate place for the tags to hang, as opposed to where the leash goes, so they don't get tangled up together. And it's a little bit thinner, but it's very strong, but it's a little bit thinner here simply so that split ring on the ID tags can slide on there nicely without getting bent out of shape, and then, might possibly fall off because it wasn't as secure as it once was. So do think about these things. Don't take your pets into areas that are really noisy or really crowded. Remember, they're looking at ankles and knees in a crowd of people, and not the best thing. Don't take them where there are loud concerts or fireworks, things that are going to get them scared. And never, ever, ever leave them in a parked car. A parked car can very quickly get to 150 degrees inside, even with the windows cracked open. So make sure you keep your pets well hydrated, and yourself too. Start drinking that water before you need it, and make sure your pets have it as well. And on any surface, if it's too hot for your bare feet, it's too hot for doggy paws to walk on. So stick to walks in the cooler parts of the day, or the grass or the shade. Beach sand can be very hot and can burn paws too, so do keep that in mind. And I know dog boots are a little protective if your dog will wear them, but just only wear them for the shortest amount of time to take the pet onto that hot surface to have his little potty break, but then get him back in the shade and get those booties off. Remember, dogs don't have sweat glands all over their bodies like we do. They have an evaporative cooling system called panting, where they're trying to take the cooler air over their tongue into their lungs to cool them off, but they release most of the heat through the pads of their feet. And if you've now covered up those paws with vinyl or plastic or polypropylene or whatever type of dog shoes you have, you can actually overheat your pet just by having those shoes on. So they're a great protective device, but don't leave them on for long periods of time when it is getting warm. And finally, let me just mention that the warm weather is bringing out other creatures of venomous nature, snakes in particular. So know the animals that are indigenous to your area. In brief, but it doesn't cross all the boards across the country, but most venomous snakes have a more triangular shaped head, which makes them look like they have a neck. They will have vertical pupils, unlike us and our dogs with the round ones. They're going to be vertical pupils like kitty cats, but I swear, I hope you're not close enough to see the pupils. And in the case of rattlers, they're going to have the rattle. But, there are venomous snakes out there that are coral snakes, that are, water moccasins, all different types depending on where you live. You may have grown up learning certain rhymes, red on black, dangerous. Now I just forgot it. Red on yellow, dangerous fellow, red on black, venom lack. But again, just really know what's out there. Supervise, and have a really fabulous and safe Memorial Day weekend and whole summertime and lifetime with your furry best friend. Thank you guys for tuning in today on your day off. And once again, great gratitude to the men, women, and canines who have done so much for our country.